Look, I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no. I'm not going to give myself the game ball for this win, even though I certainly deserve it. 8-point win over Arizona, where the head coach basically follows my quality control guidelines to a T. Sure, I could give myself the game ball, but that's not my style. It's not really what I do. I like to give others the credit. I'm in the background doing everything, coaching the team, playing the game, picking the players, basically being the backbone of this franchise, but I don't want the credit. I want to give the players the credit. So what I do, what I want to say is I'm going to get to myself later because I need to give myself some credit, but Jeff Wilson Jr. Game ball goes to Jeff Wilson Jr. A lot of people talking about CJ Beathard. I'm going to get to him next. He was terrific. And Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. But let's be real clear. The game ball goes to Jeff Wilson Jr. The running back never gets any credit. He's supposed to be replaceable. He's supposed to be a product of his blocking and his scheme. Forget all that. The Niners would be a whole lot better this year if they had any type of stability at their running back position. And you look at what Jeff Wilson Jr. did in this game, what he did against the Patriots a few weeks ago, and you look at him like, geez, when he's healthy, what can't he do? Is he not elite? I mean, he's not Derrick Henry, but he runs hard. And like seeing him go for 180 yards in this game and 100 plus against the Patriots, you're thinking, what if the Niners had just given him 15 touches in the Super Bowl, given Raheem Mostert 15 touches in the Super Bowl, benched Tevin Coleman when it was obvious that that was necessary more than a year ago, and featured the right running backs? Where would this team be? How many rings would be passed out? I mean, the team would have a ring. If they had just figured out a little earlier how freaking good, how much of a stud Jeff Wilson Jr. is, this team would all have rings. It's kind of ironic. It's tragicomic. Anyway, what's the point of looking back? Let's look ahead. The Niners have at least 2 starting caliber running backs on their team. Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. Got to be the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. A great compliment. And you're almost, I mean, I can't say that Jeff Wilson Jr. is better than Raheem Mostert because Raheem Mostert is unreal. I mean, he makes a 6-yard run look like a walk in the park. But I got to say that Jeff Wilson Jr. is the most violent runner on the team, the best runner between the tackles. He's also functional outside the tackles, and he's the best receiver out of the backfield on the team. And he's a good blocker. Hell of a player. The Niners have to bring him back and keep him on this team. He was the backbone of what they were trying to accomplish today. They wouldn't have won this game if he hadn't been the dominant running back he was, averaging 8 yards per carry on a huge workload. That was one of the more impressive performances by a running back I've seen since covering the team. The most impressive running performances by Niner running backs since I've been covering the team. This one today, Raheem Mostert in the NFC Championship game. You know, a bunch of games by Frank Gore, and maybe one by Carlos Hyde. That's about it. So salute to Jeff Wilson Jr. You were the best player on the field today, better than Kyler Murray, better than Fred Warner, better than Trent Williams. You're a stud. Congratulations. I hope you get paid and get a lot of money. I worked some magic. I'm a quality control guy, but in the offseason, I'm an agent too. And if you guys remember, I got George Kittle paid this offseason. I got Raheem Mostert paid this offseason. Jeff, I'm going to work for you too. And you don't even owe me anything. I'm not even going to ask for my customary nickel, which people usually pay me at some point. Actually, no one's ever paid me a nickel. I'm lying. So I'll do it pro bono for you, Jeff, because I respect your game and what you've been through. I love your story. I love people like you. Keep good going. And the reason I'm making such a point to talk about you first is because I know every single game story is going to be about CJ Beathard and his story and what he overcame. And yeah, that's true. But you know what? None of these players would have won this game without Jeff Wilson Jr. doing the dirty work, getting, carrying the team and getting no credit. I already know people are going to be like, yeah, no, it was Kyle. Forget that. Good for you, Jeff. Good for you. Niners are lucky to have you. But it wasn't only Jeff. Everyone played well in this game. I'm going to get to more people first. Let's talk about CJ Beathard. I owe CJ Beathard an apology. I've ridiculed this man so much in the last few years. He was 1-9 coming into this game, maybe 1-10. He'd only beaten Eli Manning his career. He'd lost some amazing games. I mean, he lost to Arizona when their quarterback was Josh Rosen. And I really blamed him a lot when in retrospect, I think I could have given him a lot of the excuses that Nick Mullins got, that I gave him, Nick Mullins this year. CJ lost some games where he dropped back 50 times. That's not his fault. That's Kyle's fault. So CJ, I'm sorry. I've worked so hard to defend Nick Mullins. Now you come in and judging you on the same rubric I've been judging Nick Mullins. You were just fantastic today. You were poised. You were smart. You were conservative in a good way. You protected the ball. You threw no picks. The one fumble wasn't really your fault. There was a bad moment at the end of the first half, but Nick would have struggled in that scenario. Jimmy Garoppolo would have struggled in that scenario. That was a Kyle issue. And we're going to get to that little 2-minute drill with 30 seconds left. I don't blame you for that. That was you being put in a rough spot. The rest of the game, you were put in good spots thanks to your running back, your defense, and your head coach. So thank them, but also you get credit. You are the Niners' most athletic quarterback. You do a good job rolling out. The first zone read run you had was terrific. The second one was kind of funny, but, that's okay. But no, it was your first start in more than 2 years. The expectations were real low. You could have just been awful. The Niners should have lost this game. You found a way to win a game. You threw 3 touchdown passes. I apologize. I ridiculed you too much. Now, you're going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. Should the Niners re-sign you? I wouldn't go that far. No. The Niners need a new starting quarterback and a new backup quarterback. Period. CJ, good for you. I hope another team signs you, but it shouldn't be the Niners. Let's be real. The starting quarterback should be a first-round pick, and the backup should be another guy, maybe a mid-round pick, maybe someone they sign, someone better than CJ. I'm glad that he played well today. I salute. Good job. He did his job. He managed the game. He handed off. He made 13 throws. He threw 3 touchdown passes, threw for a little less than 200 yards. Great. Good going. Best performance of your career. And maybe you'll do better next week, but I would say no, don't re-sign CJ. Is that mean? No. Kyle Shanahan released his secret weapon he's been hiding. CJ Beathard for 2 years and joined the playbook into his brain. Nick was just a fluke. No, guys. Kyle told you that Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than CJ Beathard. I happen to agree with Kyle Shanahan. I disagree with some of Kyle Shanahan's personnel decisions, some of his game management decisions, but on that one, he's right. But the difference today was how well Shanahan called the game. Props to CJ Beathard for doing his job, but Shanahan made his job manageable, which is what Shanahan is supposed to be able to do. So all you guys saying no, it isn't. Nick is still better than CJ. Hey, well, you know what? In this case, you guys are disagreeing with me and your head coach, who is also your favorite coach of all time. So that's fine. If you disagree with that, send a letter to Kyle. Take it up with him because I'm on his side on this one. Let's talk about Kyle. Praise for Kyle Shanahan. I really was critical of Kyle the last couple of weeks. He's had a lot of excuses, and his ability to make the Niners competitive with a bunch of backups on the field, including third-string quarterbacks, is commendable. His game plans are terrific. His play designs are top-notch. But I've been pointing out the last couple of weeks that his game management loses games for the Niners. His over-aggression in certain spots with a lead cost them games, and I went through specific plays, and I asked him in press conferences, and he got all defensive. But the thing about Kyle is maybe he's defensive on the spot when you ask him in person, but he seems to really honestly reflect. And in this game, he called the most conservative game he's called all year and won. He was just great in this game. He really let his running back win the game. He let his defense win the game. He won scoring 20 points. Now, he should have scored 27 if his kicker hadn't missed all those kicks. But really, he had a very understated performance from his offense. He wasn't trying to run up big numbers. He had 183 passing yards. Fine, whatever, win the game. He did. He did all the things that I told him to do in his quality control meeting. It's clear that he paid attention and took notes. because the longest section was about him. It was about 15 minutes. He did great. Now, I was nitpicking on him early in the first half because he reads my texts during the games and tweets. And I was like, dude, every time you're in a position, 3rd and 8, you can go back a couple of plays and look at a pass you called unnecessarily. And the things that I was looking at was like, dude, when you do pass, it needs to be play action, bootleg stuff. Like everything, the defense needs to be first looking at a run because your offense is not built to do straight dropbacks. And it's not that every single time you call a straight dropback pass, something bad's going to happen, but like 50% of the time it's going to happen. So be careful. Don't call that stuff. It's not what your offensive line does well. It's not what your quarterback does well. And he did a brilliant job minimizing the straight drop back passes in the game. The Niners weren't particularly good on 3rd down. That's when you got to go straight drop back. They minimized that. There was this one point at the end of the first half that killed me, that I felt like Shanahan was like either trying to lose or just being stubborn or trolling me. But they're up 7-6. They have 30 seconds left in the half. They try to lead a 2-minute drive. They call 4 straight drop back passes, no play action, no nothing. And of course, what happens? The first 2 are okay. The 3rd one should have been a pick 6, dropped by the defense. The 4th one fumbled, recovered by Arizona. Luckily, there was only 5 seconds left in the clock when Arizona got the ball, and they couldn't do much with it. But it's like, Kyle, you're winning the game. You're winning a game you have no business winning. You're beating a potential playoff team with backups. Your game plan is legit. You're doing a great job. You've done everything right. You've managed CJ Beathard. He's confident. The team's confident in him. The defense is playing great. Just go into halftime with a lead. Don't give the ball back to Arizona. Don't give them any more points. It's like, here we go. Empty backfield, I believe, on the 3rd play leads to the near pick 6, and the next one is a fumble. And it's like, I'm thinking about, it's like, okay, well, that's not going to cost you today. But what I'm seeing is you make the same mistakes in the same situations every game. So it didn't cost you in this one, but are you going to do this again next year or next week? Probably. Kyle, if you're listening, stop it. Stop it. That was the one moment in this game where you lost your mind. The one moment. There was also a moment in the 4th quarter where you were winning and you called a pass to Kittle on the first play. He dropped it. You called a zone read on the 2nd play. CJ Beathard gained 2, and then you called a pass on the 3rd play. Those were your 2 worst series. Every other thing you did was really on point. It was great. It was really, really super good. So what I'm saying is you got the right idea. You tried to execute to your best. There were 2 series that you kind of lost your minds. That's good, though. That's a big step in the right direction for you. Game management is what hurts you. And in this game, you basically were great except for those 2 drives. So good job. Definite improvement. You got 1% better. You got 3% better today. Kyle, salute. Good job. Now I want to talk about me, because as good as Kyle Shanahan did, I was way better. I mean, where do you think Kyle got the idea to run the ball that much? That was me. If it weren't for me, the Niners would have turned the ball over 7 times in this game. So I give myself credit for that. Also, where do you think Kyle Shanahan got the idea to throw the ball to Kyle Juszczyk like that? That was me. I've been telling him, get the ball to Kyle Juszczyk. He scores touchdowns. Boom, 2. Also, using Kyle Juszczyk in short yards, bring him under center, letting him do the quarterback sneak, that was brilliant. I can't say that was my idea, though, but I'm going to take credit for it anyway. But no, I really liked it. They got it from the Cowboys. The Cowboys ran it this weekend. Good job. I'm taking credit for it. Benching Richard Sherman, giving him, an injury excuse, that was great. My idea. Niners defense is so much better without him. I said Ahkello Witherspoon was better than him. True. Tavarius Moore, excellent game. Had a couple tough games early on. I stuck with him. I was right about that. Good job, Tavarius Moore. What else can I give myself credit for? I'm just fantastic. So my question is, do you think that have I done such a good job? Hold on. I'm going to get to you, son of Albion, real quick. I'm going to get to you. Don't worry. I appreciate your thing, your tip. Have I done such a good job at quality control this year that I'm going to be an actual quality control coach in the NFL next year? What do you think? Am I going to be covering the 49ers next year for Sports Illustrated? Or will I be a quality control coach in the NFL? Maybe not for the 49ers, because I've ridiculed Jed York so much. I would have to imagine that even if Kyle Shanahan did the right thing and said, Jed, we'd like to hire Grant, he would say, over my dead body. And I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But I would think there's 31 other teams. I mean, what do you think? I got a nice jawline. You know, I'm self-deprecating, humorous, but also opinionated, and I do my homework. And 95% of my suggestions are right, which is why the Niners use all of them, and now they finally won a game. So what do you think? Have I worked my way into the NFL? And if so, have I shown a new way to get into the NFL? It seems to me the key to becoming a quality control coach in the NFL is to give yourself the job and just start doing it. Worked for me. I should probably make myself a scout as well. Maybe I should make myself a head coach. I think that's the key. You just give yourself titles. Seems to work. Worked in my case. I don't know. So yeah, good season for me. I think there's a 50-50 chance that I'll be working in the NFL next year. Either as a quality control coach or maybe as a general manager or a head coach or a play caller. Maybe I'll start off as a play caller. Wow, I'm getting some really generous donations. All right, I'm going to stop with my topics and answer some questions and I'll get back to it. Seems like Wilson is a goner. Who do we go for? What do you mean seems like Wilson is a goner? The Niners better not let him go anywhere. Oh, you mean Zach Wilson. Jeff Wilson should be on this team next year. Yeah, Jeff Wilson freaking Jr. should be on this freaking team next year. He's the best running back in the division. He is the best running back in the division. I'd rather have him than Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, Darrell Henderson. What's the dude's name in LA? Cam Akers. Yeah, he's the best running back in the NFL. He's the best running back in the NFC West. You know I'm getting worked up when my voice starts cracking. I don't know who you're talking about, which Wilson. Wilson probably a goner too. I don't think Niners can get him. I'm all on aboard team Kyle Trask, but I'm not going to talk about him anymore. So, but yeah, I got, hold on. I'm not going to bring, no, I think Jeff Wilson Jr. is the best running back in the NFC West. Am I tripping? Larry, great to see you. I hope your grandson's elbow's okay. That was terrible what happened to him. Terrible. All right, hold on. Mark Salas. Dump Kevin Wenger? Who? Who are you talking about? Kevin Wenger? Man, I wish I knew what you were talking about because that's a really generous donation. Anyway, you guys are great. Let's dump Kevin. I hate Kevin Wenger. Who's Kevin Wenger? He's all okay. Good to hear that, Larry. Ugh. Oh, Kevin Wang? Kevin Wang. All right, Kevin. Mark just paid me $25 to dump you, so I'm probably going to have to dump you on that one unless you want to pay me $26. I don't know how this is going to work, but it seems like he made a really good point. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm paying people to fight in my comment section. Mark Salas just pulled ahead with a $25 donation. What are you going to do, Kevin? Mark's winning the fight. I don't know what to tell you. Mark won. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Nope. Let's not. What's more entertaining to watch? Robbie Gould missed 4 field goals. Was it 4? Or Kyler Murray? I thought it was 3. My goodness. Or Kyler Murray's deep spirals, whether they're completed passes or not. Kyler Murray didn't look like Kyler Murray looked terrible today, by the way. He looked awful. Thank goodness the Niners had the best quarterback on the field. Arizona's stuck with that Kyler Murray bum, and luckily the Niners have CJ Beathard, who's just way better than Kyler. So good for the Niners. At least they're not stuck with that Kyler bum, right? Okay, so I gave myself a lot of credit. Hold on. I gave myself a lot of credit for quality control, and I am really good. But I can't take too much credit for what Robert Saleh did today. You guys watched my quality control sessions, and I really didn't give him any suggestions this week. I didn't tell him how to stop Kyler Murray. I basically wrote this game off, and I was laughing at the Niners, and I was like, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter what you do, Robert, because the offense is going to lose the game. Well, the offense didn't lose the game, and Robert Saleh might have had his best performance as a NFL defensive coordinator. This is his masterpiece. This was his Lear. He hasn't had a solution for Kyler Murray yet. He has the answer for the Rams. They're done. He makes Sean McVay look like Marty Schottenheimer, like all out of ideas. Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray had the best of him for 3 games, both last year and the first one this year. Saleh finally figured it out, and this is why I am so confident in him as a defensive coordinator and potential head coach, is he always improves. He always figures it out eventually. Maybe not during that game, but eventually. The 4th crack at Kyler Murray, he got it. And what did he do? You guys saw it. James Lofton did a phenomenal job breaking down. What a play-by-play announcer, by the way. James Lofton went to Stanford. He had me on his radio show on SiriusXM a couple of years ago. Loved going on with him. He was great. I learned every single play. Every time they had a play, I was like, I wonder what James Lofton has to say. Really liked him. Anyway, he pointed out how Robert Saleh, when he blitzed, was bringing K'Wan Williams, sometimes Ahkello Witherspoon, off the defense's left side, which meant Kyler Murray's right side. And you saw every time he gets pressure, his instinct is to bolt to the right. But that's where the pressure's coming from. So he would like spin away from it and constantly run into the tackle. It was brilliant. And so now every team that goes against Arizona and Kyler Murray is going to do what Robert Saleh did. And I don't know if they're going to have as much success because it wasn't just the concept of bringing pressure from the defensive left side. It was every time he called it, it was the right exact time. He didn't do it every play. When he did it, it worked. So it's not just that he had the right concept. He had Arizona duped out. We're going to do it in these situations. It's going to work for these reasons. And it was right. So that's a big time win for the Niners. It's a big time performance for Saleh. And it's going to be fresh in owners' minds when they interview him. He's gone. Goodbye. It looked like maybe last week after giving up 41 points to Dallas that the Niners might luck into one more year of Robert Saleh. No, goodbye. Say goodbye. He's gone. So good. I don't know if he'll succeed as a head coach. A lot will depend on who his offensive coordinator and quarterback coach is. Luckily, I can do both of those things for him, so he should be fine. Goodbye. Best defensive coordinator in the league. He's now at the head coach level. The Niners are fortunate to have him. It's too bad they couldn't have made this season count. They couldn't have made this last season count with Saleh. And yeah, you can blame it on all the injuries, but again, you see, as long as the Niners are understated on offense and can commit to running the ball, they win. They should have more wins this year. They should be competing for playoff spots. It's too bad that they just finally figured out their formula for winning Week 16. It's too bad. Who will the Niners get at quarterback if they don't get one of their draft prospects in the first round or trade their first-round pick in free agency? I suggest Andy Dalton. Sign Andy Dalton, draft Kyle Trask, and then another guy I like in the mid-rounds is Kellen Mond, a dual threat who went to Texas A&M, was a 4-year starter, good runner. It kind of reminds me of Colin Kaepernick. Maybe he doesn't have the big fastball that Colin Kaepernick had, but similar. Similar size, similar build, similar speed. Kellen Mond, mid-rounds. Those are guys to think about. Felicia Barker, whenever you suggest Kyle is tanking, he calls a great game. Good call, Felicia. I guess, I try really hard to shame Mike McGlinchey into playing better. It doesn't work. But when I call out Kyle Shanahan, does it work? I feel like there's too many people in his ear giving him excuses, being like, Kyle, you're good. Kyle, you're good. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And he buys into it. You just need one dude to be like, Kyle, you're a little overrated, aren't you? And he's like, what? What'd you say? A word? I'm a little overrated? Okay, well, let me show you. He needs someone doubting him. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do is quality control. He needs that. He needs negative reinforcement. I don't know if his dad did that for him as a kid, but someone needs to be like, Kyle, you ain't all that. Kyle, last week was whack. And then now he has to prove himself again. Kyle was something to prove as a bad man. And for Jed York's fault for giving him that 6-year extension, he had nothing to prove this year. So he wallowed in his excuses and lost a bunch of games. He easily could have won because he's that good. But with me here, prodding him and poking him and calling all the right shots. Niners win. So good call. I was too easy on Kyle Shanahan this year by basically put him on the hot seat last week, or I didn't put him on the hot seat. I put him in the lukewarm seat. Let me get his best. So let's keep it moving. Dylan Respect says, Grant, you're in denial. Kyle's ability to scout and evaluate players is bad. CJ is better. Think about Savon Ahmed, Jeff Wilson, and all the other great players that haven't started and earned a role. Hold on. Grant, you're in denial. Kyle's ability to scout and evaluate players is bad. CJ is better. Think about Savon Ahmed, Jeff Wilson, all the other great players that haven't started and earned a role. I don't really understand your topic. I don't understand I don't understand it. I'm in denial. Sure, absolutely. Kyle's ability to scout and evaluate players is bad. Well, I agree with that. So what am I in denial about? CJ is better. Think about, he's not that good. Okay, well, I don't know. You're right. I appreciate the donation, but I don't know. He did a good job evaluating Jeff Wilson Jr. is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right. If you own the Niners and didn't care about the salary cap, would you pay $1 billion to get Mahomes? No. Salary cap exists. You have to work within the confines of the salary cap, and paying $1 billion to get Mahomes would leave you $0 for the rest of your team. And he can't play. He can't block and run routes while throwing. So team sport. Who should replace Saleh? D'Amico Ryans, if possible? Yeah. D'Amico Ryans. But the thing is, D'Amico Ryans is going to probably go with Saleh. I would imagine he's going to leave, and Saleh's going to take a lot of this coaching staff with him. And I think the Niners are going to have to bring in someone else. Maybe someone who has some experience. Maybe Raheem Morris, the interim head coach with Atlanta. Maybe Gus Bradley, if Anthony Lynn, the head coach of the Chargers, gets fired. Someone like that. Someone with experience. I think D'Amico's going to go with Saleh. I think that's Saleh's protege, the way that Saleh was Gus Bradley's protege. Good question. Let's keep it moving. All right. Jason Verrett's a hell of a player. This guy is one of the best stories of the season for the Niners. When they signed him, I scoffed. I was like, this is the best you can do, is sign a guy who's missed 4 years and used to be good in the Obama administration, and that's all you're going to do at cornerback. Well, it worked out. They were patient. He rehabbed. He's a hell of a competitor and athlete. He's back. They need to keep him. His pass breakup on DeAndre Hopkins in the end zone was one of the best plays of the game. He's the only guy the Niners have had in probably 20, 25 years who can actually guard a receiver of Hopkins' caliber man-to-man. Honestly. Got to keep him. Now, it's going to be tough because the Niners don't have cap space. They don't have very much, and they got to re-sign Fred Warner, and they got to re-sign Trent Williams, and that takes precedent. But right after them is Jason Verrett. He's more important than Jaquiski Tartt. He's more important than Kyle Juszczyk, Kendrick Bourne. This guy isn't necessarily a lockdown cornerback, but he's close. He's really close. He's had a phenomenal year. He might have had a couple bad games this season, but they got to find a way to keep Jason Verrett. That was clear. Now, CJ Beathard in this game having a few good plays, completing 13 passes. I wouldn't say that I'd change my opinion on what needs to happen with him next year. Jason Verrett, keep him. You got to. Only problem with that is I think the rest of the league is looking at him being like, yeah, I'll take him too. Yeah, if you can play man-to-man on DeAndre Hopkins, hey, why don't I? What's he worth? Do the Niners have $8, $9, $10 million to throw at him? Maybe not. Too bad. Because the thing is, if the Niners re-sign Jason Verrett and Emmanuel Mosley, you got 2 starting cornerbacks. You re-sign Ahkello Witherspoon, there's 3. All of a sudden, you don't have to spend a first-round pick on a cornerback. He makes things real interesting for the Niners because they currently have 2 positions they need to spend 3 first-round picks on. Quarterback, cornerback, offensive line. Well, if they keep Jason Verrett, that's one position they don't have to spend on in the first round. That's great. So good for Jason Verrett. That guy, I can't think of a dude who's been wandering through the wilderness of injury. He was in the Sinai Desert for 5 years, and boom, now he's back playing well again. Wow, what a story. Good for him. Just as good of a story as K'Wan Williams, the nickelback. He's been hurt a lot. He left the game on a cart today, came back. Just a phenomenal player when he's in the game. First of all, he was Robert Saleh's Joker, ace up the sleeve. I don't know what metaphor you want to use, but when Robert Saleh needs to get tricky, he brings K'Wan Williams, the blitzer. He makes tackles in the backfield against the run. We talk about who brings out Kyle Shanahan's creativity on offense. It's usually Deebo Samuel. Well, on defense, it's K'Wan Williams. It's not Jimmy Ward. It's not even Fred Warner. Fred Warner, great player, smart guy, does a lot. But the creativity of Robert Saleh is expressed through K'Wan. All those blitzes, Saleh's solution for stopping and containing Kyler Murray, K'Wan Williams. Probably the best blitzing nickelback in the league. Not great in man-to-man coverage because he's a little small, but he's great in zone. He's an impact player. And what I want to say is he is a better player, makes a bigger impact than Jimmy Ward, who is a good player and an impact player at times. K'Wan's even better. This is not a knock on Jimmy Ward. I'm trying to put K'Wan in perspective. That's how good he is. He doesn't really get any credit. He's never going to be in the Pro Bowl discussion. He doesn't make a ton of money, but he is one of the cornerstone players on this team. He's one of their impact players, much better than Richard Sherman. Right up there with Jason Verrett in terms of impact. He can't cover man-to-man like Verrett can, but he's a better blitzer, better tackler, more versatile, hell of a player. K'Wan Williams. It was funny. He is still someone that never talks to the press. Either we don't request him or he doesn't want to talk. For whatever reason, he never talks. Midweek, he ain't coming out there. And so today he was so good. He talked at the post-game press conference. And again, his mouth started moving. Words were coming out of his mouth. I was like, I've never heard his voice before. This is his fourth season on the team. I'm like, oh, that's what K'Wan Williams sounds like. Huh. Interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. It's like, first time I've ever heard him talk. That's on me. That is a failure of the entire Bay Area 49ers beat writing group. I had no idea what his voice sounded like. Salute K'Wan Williams. You're a baller. Sean, what you got? Do you think we see Josh Rosen? Do you think Saleh's figured out mobile quarterbacks? What about Witherspoon? Trade down for pass rusher, easier? Okay. Do you think we see Josh Rosen? Hell no. No. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him this week if Josh Johnson is cleared off the COVID-19 list. Do you think Saleh has figured out mobile quarterbacks? Well, he just got a new weapon in his quiver, a new arrow. Yes, this K'Wan Williams nickel blitz off the left side of the defense that prevents the quarterback from escaping to his right, because really all year it's been Eric Armstead giving up containment on and allowing quarterbacks to roll out to their right. Remember Josh Allen? Every time, roll out to his right, completion. Roll out to his right, completion. Well, now Saleh's got an answer for that. It helps to have K'Wan Williams back. It's not the same blitzing Emmanuel Mosley than it is blitzing K'Wan. So that's great. Maybe he does. We'll see how offenses respond and what their solution is. And Saleh's going to have to evolve and have a solution for their solution. But for now, yes. What about Witherspoon? I think he's the defense's version of Dante Pettis. And what you can say about Ahkello Witherspoon is he didn't totally go in the tank the way Dante did. Trade down for pass rusher easier than two cornerbacks and one safety. No. They do need a pass rusher, though. But they also need a strong safety. It's a tough one. It's a good point. I see what you're saying. Hold on. Let me take back all those 8 no's I just said. Because what you're saying is, look, Moore, Harris, and Ward played well. Those are 3 safeties. And then at corner, you got K'Wan, Ahkello, Verrett, Mosley. Those are pretty good. So sure, maybe you need a pass rusher more. Definitely need offensive line and a quarterback. Good call, Sean. Interesting stuff. Next point. Should we talk Ahkello? Yeah. Ahkello Witherspoon. He was a hero of the game. Let's just go chronologically. Game starts. First thing Arizona does is test him deep to Christian Kirk, and boom, gives up the catch. Now, you could argue Christian Kirk pushed off, kind of put his arm out. Ahkello Witherspoon was in decent position, was the victim of a penalty that wasn't called and could have gone in the tank. We've seen Ahkello Witherspoon give up one play, go in the tank. Didn't. He stuck with it. He made clutch tackles. And then with the game on the line, intercepts a pass in the end zone, playing man-to-man coverage, gets his head turned around, makes a very athletic leaping catch with his hands. Beautiful. That's great redemption. That's, I think, the kind of redemption that Dante Pettis thought he was going to have this year and didn't, and probably will never have. And I don't know what it is about Dante Pettis, but I'm guessing there's some sort of a woe is me self-pity with Dante that happened when he got his benching that Ahkello didn't exude. That when his career blew up and he got embarrassed and everyone said he was trash and needed to go, he kept working and improved. And look at him now. I really do believe he was an elite cornerback the first 2.5 weeks of last season. He got hurt, came back, was trash. But still young, didn't quit, kept working. Look at him now. So I don't know if he hates the 49ers and refuses to come back, holds a grudge. Who knows? Maybe he feels about them the way that Dante Pettis feels about them for being in the doghouse for so long. But you know what? Maybe he needed that treatment. Maybe that's what he needed to be able to do what he did in this game. Good for him. I think that this game is really cool in a lot of ways because a lot of people who were either marginalized unfairly or ridiculed too much were the heroes. Ahkello Witherspoon, how much crap has he taken the last 2 years? CJ Beathard, how much crap has he taken the last 2 years? Jeff Wilson Jr., how overlooked has he been the last 2 years when all of us knew, like, hey, man, this guy's clearly better than Tevin Coleman, but roster politics are pushing him down the depth chart. It was really cool to see those three guys in particular have like a triumphant comeback. Good for them. I really enjoyed it. Ahkello in particular, I really like Ahkello. I have been guilty of ridiculing him and being harsh on him, and he's only ever been nice to me. I don't know if he's not aware of what people say, but you see him in the locker room. This isn't this year, but in the past, he would always say hello. Always, he was like oblivious to criticism. One time, I know he played soccer, and I've told this before, but he's just so charming. I know he played soccer in high school, and I went up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, you want to play some indoor soccer tonight?" He's like, "Yeah, where?" Serious. I was like, "Alameda." He's like, "I don't know where that is, man." I was like, "It's about 45 minutes north of here." He was like, "I don't think I'm going to make it, man." So sweet. Really like Ahkello Witherspoon. Ahkello, I owe you an apology too, and I'm so happy to see you bounce back. Great. Good job. You guys should enjoy this win. You guys have been very salty all season about the Niners. This was pretty cool what they did today. It shows that they really are one of the best coach teams in the league. And when they do have a competent starting quarterback next year, and maybe a competent starting right tackle, who knows? They really could bounce back and win the Super Bowl next year. They should have won it last year. If only they'd given the ball to Jeff Wilson Jr. the amount of times that he deserved. So I'm going to go eat some dinner and enjoy the rest of my night. I'll be back tomorrow and talk to you then. Take care, guys.